Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Time of My Life, the channel that is all about intentional and abundant living. I'm Deandra, and today I am at Baha Bay at the Bahama Resort in the beautiful Nassau The Bahamas, and I'm celebrating my daughter's 6th birthday. Yes, my baby girl is 6 years old today. Say hi, Cass.
Hi.
Yeah, so we're celebrating her. Actually, her birthday was yesterday, so she had a class party, and we just wanted to have some time with the family to come out and just celebrate her. So as she was enjoying, all of the water sports and all of that good stuff, naturally, I was just doing some reading and journaling, and there were just a few things that came to mind, and I started to think about something deeper. So in our household, birthdays are not just like another day. We call them holidays. We take birthdays very, very seriously. And so they're milestones, they're holidays, they are major treat days in our family. And I would have to say that I do that naturally because that is what was done for us as children. My mother did that for us. When it was our birthday, that was indeed a big deal. That was not just, gifts, but the feeling to be celebrated. It was intentionality. Like I remember every year we had a cake and we would sing the happy birthday, the traditional stuff. But I remember turning 16 and my mom booked out the Atlantis. It had to have been like about 20 of my closest friends. And I had a Sweet 16 dinner at the Atlantis. And looking back now, I got to see how intentional my mom really was and what a sacrifice that was. But I realized that she was doing more than just, marking our time. She was setting up a system where we knew what it was to be celebrated and to also reciprocate that. All right. So now, as I have grown, I've realized that she wasn't spoiling us. It was literally just intentional parenting. So I think, when you do things like that, it changes the brain chemistry of children. What people don't always talk about is what that does to a child's mind, When a child is consistently celebrated, their brains begin to associate their existence with value. Moments like this release dopamine, the feel-good chemical, but over time, it becomes something deeper. It becomes confidence. It becomes self-worth. And it builds an internal belief that I matter. Yes, baby? Not yet. Wait until Daddy comes back, okay? She wants to go in the pool. And I have my little mic today and my notes as usual, just to keep me grounded and to flow better. So, my application as a mother. So when I celebrate my kids like this, I'm not just making them happy for a day. I am rewiring their minds to expect love, to expect joy, to expect that they are worthy of being celebrated. Because a child who grows up feeling celebrated becomes an adult that doesn't settle for less. And I just want to elaborate on that a little bit, because in the world we live now, like I was having a conversation with some of my colleagues the other day, and we were just talking about how when you get involved with people, how you really need to find out what their background is like. What their culture was like in their home, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're aligned with somebody that also has that same kind of value systems and that kind of value system. And I've realized that we are seeing trends now more than ever that, people who would have had that kind of hardened background, when it's not natural for them to say, okay, I want to do celebrations and what's not, like sometimes you could be resented for that, or if it's not a priority, then people could actually even want to shame you for being intentional about celebrating what is important to you. So that's just my little plug in there. And this is what intentional living looks like to me. It's not just goals or not just aesthetics, but how you show up in moments like this. Abundance isn't just about what your life looks like. It's what your children feel, what they live. All right. And so I just want to say that when your children are given space to just be themselves and to know that you love them and you care about them. I'm not saying like to be so extravagant. It could be just like literally a cake and ice cream and everybody sing happy birthday. Or, you could do the things that they wanted to always do. It just all goes back to intentionality. And for me, that is what this day is all about. The birthdays, the milestones, the celebration, creating a life and a record of that life that they can look forward to and also look back to and feel love. So my little advice that I would give anyone on intentional parenting or, just advice period, I would say treat your milestones like they matter, because they do. The birthdays, the graduations, just the special moments that are never going to come back. Treat them as if they truly matter. And number 2, I would say it's not about how much you spend. It's about how deeply your children feel it. Number 3, create traditions your children can carry into adulthood. So, like I mentioned earlier, my mom did these things for us, and so now I'm doing it with my children. And so, hopefully, their children would also benefit from that kind of intentionality. And then I would say number 4, be present. Don't just record it, experience it. So very soon, my daughter's going to tell me, Mommy, please put the camera down and let's go in the pool, which I will, all right? So, put the camera down. Have your time for recording. I'm the queen of, document your life, so you can look back on it and just bask in all of that beauty that you would have experienced. But be present. And number 5, because how you celebrate your child becomes how they see themselves. I can't stress that enough. Self-esteem, self-worth, how they show up in life. A lot of that, believe it or not, has to do with what their childhood experiences are like. And like I say, guys, I'm not at all telling you to go ball out on an extravagant trip just to celebrate birthdays and stuff like that. But, in your local city, just do things that you wouldn't do out of the ordinary and let the child know that it's just about them. Like for my baby girl, I know it was going to be her 6th birthday and I know the things that she likes. So she had her sash on, for her birthday fell on a Friday. So she had her sash and her crown on and she came back from school that day and she was like, Mommy, everybody was treating me so special today. I mean, even the persons that are normally annoyed, they were being super duper nice to me. I said, well, why did you think that, Cass? And so she was like, I think it was because it's my birthday. But they would not, I think, have even known it was a birthday if she was not fully regaled, So just being intentional about that day, how her having on her crown and her sash, princess-like, it's going to always be a core memory for her. And, of course, we had, the pizza and the cupcakes and the whole shebang, that of course we recorded. But I was just so happy for her and it made my heart smile to know that mission was accomplished. She felt so celebrated and just to see her light up was worth $1 million, honestly. So this topic is really near and dear to me because I understood what it did for me as a child, and I always want my children to have that feeling of being loved and to know that their parent was intentional in the things that concerns them. And so in closing, I just want to say, being here at Baha Bay, did I say that right? Baha Bay at the Bahama Resort in Nassau The Bahamas is just such a beautiful day. Here it's not raining or anything like that. And I was afraid because yesterday, we had overcast weather or whatever. But yeah, I'm just so excited to be here with not only my daughter, but the whole entire family is here, just celebrating her. And I, made them say a little script. Even the boys, they're not too into the camera thing. But I told them just to say something, nice for their sister on their birthday. And it's like, oh, Mommy, I have to. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of do. So they could look back at it, when they're grown, which is approaching so quickly, and they could just see what was their mindset at that time and the well wishes they had for her. So I want to say that I'm creating a memory that my daughter will remember for the rest of her life, just like my mom did for me, and that is the intention. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Whether you have kids or you don't have kids, I just want you to always have the mindset to don't think that these things don't matter. They do. And if you had any special traditions or celebrations that your parent did for you in your childhood, share them with me in the comments. I'll be happy to read them. I check every comment. And, let's have a conversation about it. So my wish for you is to live an abundant, intentional life. And I shall see you next time. Bye for now.